Friends, colleagues around Uganda, Africa, and the world. It is important not only to reflect on what we do, but also on how we measure what we do and paying attention to how and what the data tells us. This afternoon, we have a conversation on how data is important for national planning, for national development, and also for the transformation of society. And on the expert sessions today, from the Office of the Prime Minister, we are hosting one of the principal statisticians, strategic planning from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics here in Uganda. They are going to lead us into a conversation on what they are doing strategically to use data to plan, and also to make sure that what the data tells us is what guides us in the decision making, and also the policy formulation and resource allocation. So join me in welcoming the principal statistician, strategic planning from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Ms. Nina Acan. Nina, you are welcome, Nina, to this expert day session.
Thank you, moderator. I am honored to be here. Like I've been introduced already, Ms. Nina Acan, principal statistician with the Uganda Bureau of Statistics. I'm here representing my executive director, Dr. Priskeza. I'm glad to be here.
So our expert today, indeed as your part, will take us through a journey on how data is being used here in Uganda. What is the national statistical strategy that we are using as a country? How is the institution collecting? How is the institution analyzing? And how is this data available for use by different institutions of government, but also by the stakeholders in the private sector, in the civil society, the decision that we make every day? So I would want to start from the most fundamental question, a question that sits at the heart of government accountability and results-based management. How does the Uganda Bureau of Statistics support MDAs, the ministries, departments, and agencies to align their performance reporting with national development indicators such as those in the National Development Plan 4 that we have adopted, on 1st July 2035?
Thank you very much, moderator. As the Bureau of Statistics, we know that without data, you cannot measure, and you cannot deliver on what you cannot measure. So we work in collaboration with the ministries, departments, agencies, and some civil society organizations, because you know that the non-state actors also have a role in ensuring that development is executed well. Key on what we are doing to make sure that the reporting is aligned using data and evidence. We are working with the MDAs, higher local government, and the CSOs to develop and implement the plan for national statistical development. This plan is aligned to the different development initiatives, including the NDP4, the ESC Vision 2050, the Africa Agenda 2063, the SDGs, among others. We ensure that all the data requirements are integrated in the plan for national statistical development. This plan is implemented by the ministries, departments, agencies, higher local government through strategic plans for statistics, which each one of them develop. I am glad this discussion has come at a time when we are supporting them to develop a strategic plan for statistics aligned to this PNZ, which is going to integrate all the data requirements for the NDP4. In addition to that, we also develop and implement the National Standard Indicator Framework. The National Standard Indicator Framework has a set of priority indicators, including those ones used for measuring Uganda's transition from developing country to develop up to the highest level. These indicators were developed by UNDESA, but as a country, we generate data for measuring them and reporting on them. The NSI framework also includes indicators for measuring all the NGP indicators. So as we start the NDP4 implementation, we are updating the NSI to make sure all the indicators required for measuring the NDP4 shall be reported on routinely through the NSI framework. In addition to that, we also spearhead development of indicators and respective metadata for NDP indicators. At the moment, we completed the development of the indicators under the Plan Implementation Action Plans, the PIAPs indicators, and are ready for implementation. We are in the process of going to the local government to make sure these indicators are cascaded downwards, so that when we are reporting to holistic, at the center, we're using data for evidence-based. At the local government, we're using data for evidence-based.
Maybe speaking of local government, would want to know some of the progress that has been made, especially in meeting and addressing the challenges in statistical and data administration at the local government. Would want to know what steps have been taken to mitigate the challenges that have been taking place in the administration of statistics and data at local government level.
Yes, thank you so much. At the local government, there are a number of steps which are going on. One, we are spraying as the Bureau, in collaboration with the Ministry of Finance, Office of the Prime Minister, and Minister of Public Service, ensure that the statistics function is reinstated in all the MDAs and higher local government. Because we know that without the right expertise, we may not get the best information. So that is one of the things we are agitating for. We're also trying to strengthen administrative data compilation. One of the things we've done, we've distributed tablets up to the lowest level of the file. We want to make sure that the data coming to the administrative system is automated so that we receive real-time information which can be generated and disseminated in a timely manner to inform decisions.
How do we empower citizens? Because for data to work, not only the technocrats should know and use their data, but then also the citizens that we are surveying should understand, why are we even doing a census? Why do we have statistics? How are we engaging the day-to-day citizen, our bosses, in understanding the data that we are collecting, the analysis we are making, and then also to know that beyond that, there is an importance that the data is used for. Is the function that this data is used for.
Thank you very much, moderator. We have a function for outreach in the outreach support assurance deficit. That function is basically to reach out to the users, the producers. When we talk of the users, we meet them at different levels. We know at the national level, we have at the sense at the policy formulating bodies like the MDAs, the parliamentarians. We meet them and always sensitize them on the available information and break it down to the nitty-gritties for them to appreciate at what point we use what is available. As you know, we generate a number of statistics on poverty, on education, on health. So we make sure they are aware of what is available, the timeline, how frequent they are produced. Then when it gets to the communities, we make sure everyone knows about the available data, and we also conduct literacy education for the users to make sure what we are generating, it is being used in the right way, it is not misused, and it is well understood. We also give feedback for the lowest person after the household for them to know that we all need data and evidence for them to put their leaders accountable for the services which are meant to be delivered. When they have the data, they can hold the leaders accountable, they can demand for what services the government is supposed to be making sure it reaches up to the law.
So this data is very, very important in seeking accountability and making sure we have accountable systems. When we go to accessibility and availability, what are some of the systems in place that ensure that data is both available and accessible at the subnational level?
The system we have in place which ensures that that is available both at the national and the regional level. What we do, we make sure when we disseminate, we use a number of channels. We use press release, which we make to addresses the near and the far. Then we also hold meeting, disseminate hard form materials. Then we also have electronic databases and portals. For example, we have the SDG Open Data Portal, which has all the SDG indicators Uganda has data available. At the moment, we have 148 out of the 201 SDG affiliable indicators for Uganda. So when you go to the SD Open Data Portal, you will realize that all those indicators are updated in there. A user, by just a click, is able to see the data there up to date, and they can put it into use. We also make sure that as we do other programs, as we move to the different parts of the country, we carry the available information. Sometimes the reports hard copies to make sure those who are not near can also find. Also, our website has been revamped to make sure access is improved in the easiest way possible, without anyone complaining that they are not able to maneuver through.
Also, in data, and given that we live in a world of diversity, disaggregation of data is very, very important, because aggregated data can limit responsiveness. So how is UBOS, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, and in the general sense, the government of Uganda, bridging this gap to ensure timely, disaggregated data for decision makers? The issue of disaggregation, I think, is one that we need to pay attention to.
Thank you very much. Yes, we know ever since SDGs came on board, the adage is leaving no one behind. For us not to leave anyone behind, the data must be disaggregated to the different categories. As you know, the SDG recommended a number of levels of disaggregation, including gender, by location, by ethnicity, by minority groups, by age groups. So from the time we started implementing SDGs, all the data which is being generated by UBOS, we disaggregate as much as possible, following all those dimensions. And when you check on children reports, you realize that most of the data are disaggregated to the lowest level possible, to make sure that we are able to measure the service delivered to the last person and even up to the minority groups, without leaving anyone behind.
So let's now speak directly to the public servants, because the public servants are the direct consumers and users of this data. Let's speak to them, how they can use this data, right, generated by the the Statistics Office, the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, to boost the public service delivery, both in local government and also here at the central level.
Yes, thank you so much, moderator. I want to inform our colleagues in the public service that the data available can be put to use in the following perspective: for evidence-based planning and policy formulation, to make sure we get the right policies which can put our country to another level. Then performance reporting and monitoring, including assessments. When you have data, you are able to report properly and you're able to come out with better strategies later on from what you've reported. Then prioritization of different groups of people that we serve. We have different groups. If you want to deliver the services without leaving anyone behind, you must use this data, which is well disaggregated, to inform your decision making, your planning, and then the action implementation. Then budgeting and resource allocation based on differential across groups. If we want to ensure equity and equality in our planning and budget, we must use the data which is available on the different channels of UBOS, the SDG Open Data Portal, our website, and then the Open Data Portals for Uganda. And then also strengthening the centralized service delivery through addressing community significance. We need data if we must strengthen the decentralized system of service delivery. Without data, you'll not be able to decentralize well, because we know very well the different regions and the different districts have different needs and they are at a different level of development. You can only tell this and be able to improve when you have the right data and are using it to inform the service delivery.
So let's, I would want to invite you to close by telling us some of the existing platforms, some of the existing tools, which public servants, which citizens and our stakeholders can always use and be aware of the data that is existing here, collected by the Uganda Bureau of Statistics.
Okay, one of the main way we'll try to make sure that public servants have access to our data is the production of the annual statistical abstracts. We produce the major one, the national ones at UBOS, which is a consolidation of the abstracts produced by the different ministries, departments, agencies, and the higher local government. So I implore all civil servants to access this statistical abstract. They will be able to find enough information about their respective sectors and departments which they are serving in, and the ministries and the programs under the NDP4 that they are contributing to. In addition to that, I implore colleagues that let's visit the UBOS website as much as possible, and the National Open Data Portal and the SCD Open Data Portal, so that we are able to use this information and utilize them.
We have had a package on data. The data systems that exist in our country, Uganda, and the data systems that we look for putting in place. So from this session, I would want to leave us with a challenge to not only collect and report on data, but also leave it, act on data, and also localize it for the good of the public service delivery systems. I would want to thank Nina Acan from the Uganda Bureau of Statistics, Principal Planner at Strategic Planning, for being with us this day to speak us about how we can use not only collect, not only report, but also use the data to improve the lives of the citizens in our country. I thank you so much, Nina Acan, for joining us.